Welcome to All Grown Up Now, Tales of a Checkered Past. I'm Kenneth D. King, podcasting from my studio near Union Square in New York City. This podcast is an evolution of the tale, All Grown Up Now, A Friendship in 3 Acts. This is Season 2, and it's called Tales of a Checkered Past. It's a collection of short stories from my salad days on up to the present. In each podcast, another self-contained story will be presented. These podcasts will be broadcast bi-weekly, so you get 2 a month. Enjoy. Episode 61 is called Flowers from Elton. It's a little story about a nice interlude that happened in my life in 1989. Over the years, in the available press about my career, the name Elton John comes up. Having the honor of getting to create for him is one of the big achievements in my life. In August of 1989, Elton was coming to the Bay Area to give a concert at the Shoreline Amphitheater. It was a big deal, and I was poised on my rotary phone to call the moment tickets went on sale. They went on sale at 10 a.m. and were almost sold out at 10:05. The only tickets left were those on the lawn, which meant I would be sitting near the parking lot. But I bought them. Later that day, I called my agent, Brenda, to ask if she could talk to the very posh store in Los Angeles that I sold to see if I could get some better tickets, because they did sell to Elton. Now, I wasn't asking for backstage passes, mind you. I just wanted to have seats where Elton didn't look like an ant. Word came back that it wasn't possible. Why would you even have the temerity to ask? How dare you? Who do you think you are? Okay. A few days later, my friend Betsy was visiting the studio. As it happens, I was planning on taking her to the concert. I told her about the exchange, and she clucked sympathetically about how something should be done. So, as I found out later, while I was in the bathroom, she rifled through my Rolodex, where I just happened to have the contact information for Elton's people. Don't ask how I got that. Unknown to me, she wrote to them. Her letter said that Elton and I were 2 creative people who enjoyed each other's work. Wouldn't it be a great idea if we were to meet? His people wrote back saying that, why, yes, that was an excellent idea. There will be 2 backstage passes at will call. When Betsy sprung that on me, I thought I'd pass out. Excited, I started working on a new hat style. Why not get a new hat in front of him at the same time? The hat I designed was based on a Pan Am flight attendant hat, and I dubbed it the Airliner. The prototype was deep violet crushed taffeta with black grosgrain trim. I planned on wearing it with all black. It would be so flattering. The day of the concert arrived to find me surprisingly calm. This was nothing to be nervous of, I said to myself. I'd be cool, calm, collected, suave, all of that when I met him. That said, I did practice what I wanted to say, which was, it's such a pleasure to know that someone whose work you admire also admires your work. I repeated it like a mantra so that when I needed it, the words would flow smoothly. On the day of the concert, I dressed, Betsy picked me up, we drove to the Shoreline Amphitheater, and parked the car. She marched me up to will call, where we were given backstage passes. The only restriction was we were allowed backstage only until the concert began. Then we had to leave. That was fine by me. Over the years, Betsy had photographed various celebrities at the shoreline, so she knew the landscape backstage. She walked me to an area that looked like a canteen or a little dining hall. There were 2 doors leading from that room, aside from the one we came in on. She said. That one leads to the stage, and the other one leads to the dressing room. He's probably in the dressing room. At that moment, I froze. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Betsy, however, grabbed my sleeve, dragged me to that door, and addressed the guard holding the walkie-talkie. "This is Kenneth King. He's here to see Elton John," she said to the guy. "Of course," he said. "Right this way." At that moment, my mouth went dry and my ears started ringing. I started walking straight ahead mechanically. As I was walking, I passed a guy sitting at a table wearing a baseball hat and overalls. Oblivious, I walked right by him. Betsy grabbed my shoulder, pivoted me around to look at the guy, and said, "Elton, meet Kenneth. Kenneth, meet Elton." My brain froze. Elton grinned, put his hand out, and said, "Hello." "Hello," I squeaked out, taking his hand. "I've often wondered what you looked like," he said. "And I own the Yellow Jacket." As an aside, the Yellow Jacket is a very long story. I opened my mouth after he shook my hand, and to my surprise, it came out. "It's such a pleasure to know that someone whose work you admire also admires your work," just as I had practiced. For the next few minutes, we had a nice chat. Elton could not have been lovelier. He loved the new style hat. He even tried it on. But then he said, "I need to go sing in a few minutes." As Elton walked us out, I could have dropped dead on the spot, my life complete. I met Elton John, and he wondered what I looked like. My life complete. I could have died right then. Betsy, however, was thinking ahead. We didn't have the good tickets. We still had the crappy ones on the lawn, and they weren't letting us sit backstage. So, as we were walking out, Betsy to my left, Elton to my right, Betsy leaned in front of me and in her most charming way said, "Elton, I know this is tacky, but we don't have tickets." Elton snapped his fingers and said, "Tickets for these people." A man appeared with the tickets, and then he gave them to us. Off we went to the concert, sitting 5th row center. We made a fuss about saying, excuse me. We were backstage, excuse me, as we went to our 5th row center seats. We now fast forward to October of 1987. I found the Howard Street studio the day before the earthquake and signed the lease on the day of the earthquake, a couple of hours before the quake to be exact, so I got lucky. The next day, the phone rang. It was Elton's people. "Hello, this is Corky from..." she said. "Hello," I replied. Of course, I didn't immediately understand the reason for their call. Elton had indeed ordered 4 of the new airliner hats, which I had shipped off a couple weeks before. So my mind went immediately to those hats. How are they? Did they arrive okay? Did he like them? Did he hate them? Was there a problem? My mind went off in that direction. "How are you doing?" she asked. "Fine, thanks, and you?" I said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. A beat skipped. "Well, there's been an earthquake," she said. "Elton wanted us to call you to see if you were okay. Do you need anything?" "Oh," I responded. "Oh, I get it. No, everything here's fine. Thanks for checking in, though. I just rented a new studio space yesterday, so I'll be sending you invitations to my studio warming party in early December. So look for them, okay?" We rang off, and that was that. Late in November, I sent out the invitations for the studio warming party. I sent one to Elton's people and one to him as well, knowing full well that they wouldn't come. He's too famous. I also invited Miss Anne. Now, I've covered my wrangling to get her there in other podcasts, but she did indeed come from Oklahoma City to the party along with my sister Kathy. The party was December 5th, a Saturday. A couple of days before, I was working late. A call came in from Corky. She wanted to RSVP for Elton, sending his regrets. I thanked her for being so considerate. He really didn't have to do that. He was famous. It was a thoughtful gesture, though. Then came the day of the party. I was at the studio doing the last-minute preparations for the party. Miss Anne and Kathy were at my place getting ready. There was a message on the answering machine. It was a florist needing to schedule a delivery. I called back to set a time. As we were wrapping up, the guy asked, "Don't you want to know who it's from?" It's probably Elton," I replied, trying to sound casual. "Oh, man, I wanted to tell you that myself," he shouted back. Later, I brought Miss Anne and Kathy back to the studio, and they pitched in to help finish the preparations. The buzzer went off. I buzzed him in. It was the florist. He had the biggest, most beautiful floral arrangement I had seen in quite some time. It looked like the horse came in second at the Kentucky Derby. He halted up the stairway and through the door. I casually indicated where he could set it down. As Miss Anne and Kathy looked it over, I said, "Mom, why don't you open the card, see who it's from?" There was a little envelope on a clear plastic holder nestled in with the flowers. So, Miss Anne took the little envelope, tore it open, put her glasses on, and read, "Dear Kenny, congratulations on your studio opening. Sorry I couldn't be there. Thanks for everything. Love, Elton." Now, as an aside, he's the only other person besides my mother who can call me Kenny. Otherwise, it's Ken, Kenneth, Mr. King, or Butch. Well, after Miss Anne read that note, I thought she was going to faint. But suddenly, Miss Anne understood that what I was doing all this time, that making hats in San Francisco, wasn't just a kooky idea her ne'er-do-well son cooked up. She'd wanted me to be a pharmacist, and for many years just didn't get why I had to follow the path I chose. But she knew, after reading this note, that this was something. She impulsively reached out and gave me a big hug, which was a first for her. At the party, Miss Anne was a hit playing the Queen Mother. Everyone somehow knew who she was, and she enjoyed giving guided tours to the bouquet and pointing out that rock stars sent her son flowers. She went over big, regaling people with stories of the baby genius and how she had recognized that her son had talent. I overheard her telling a small group how she really encouraged her children to do what they loved, to follow their bliss, and she never tried to impose her choice of career on them. When I heard this, I walked up behind her, and I said, "What have you done with my mother? She wanted me to be a pharmacist. You're an alien, I just know it." I made quite a few pieces for Elton over the years after that, but this little thing, Flowers from Elton, is one of my fonder memories of my first years in business. Not only was it a gracious gesture from a wonderful man, it was the thing that finally made my mother understand that I had, as she would say, made something of my life. And I have him to thank for it. Thanks for listening. You can get the audiobook All Grown Up Now on iTunes, Audible, and Amazon, or from my website, allgrownupnow.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. If you have any questions, you can reach me through the website, allgrownupnow.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Kenneth D. King, on Facebook at Kenneth D. King Design, or on my main website, kennethdking.com.